Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Today I have the pleasure to have once again a good friend of mine, Professor Sam Ghanty, to come back for the second time to continue our early debate a few months ago, where right before the launch of the first Cambodian stock company in the Cambodian stock market, we have Professor Sam Ghanty, who sort of like set the stage a bit. But today we want to continue the dialogue. Maybe the stock is out there already, the market is beginning to function, even though it's with one company. But I think it's the beginning of a new sort of like economic trend for the country. So Professor, welcome once again to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. I just, before I start debate, I just want to say that Professor Sam Ghanty is quite a very, he's a personality in the financial community in Cambodia in itself. He holds a PhD in finance, currently advisor to the National Accounting Council, member of the board of director of the Security and Exchange Commission of Cambodia, and he's also lecturing at the Finance Institute of Cambodia, FIC. And up to 1996, he was a professor of finance with the University of Wisconsin in the US. So welcome once again, Professor.
Pleasure.
So anyway, the hype is a bit over now that we have the first stock company in the stock market. Please tell us a bit, what your emotion a bit, how it's being part of this whole process.
The first process has been finished. That means the Security Exchange Commission of Cambodia allowed the company now to go ahead and start issuing and selling IPO.
Yes.
That process though create a lot of excitement.
Yes, indeed.
In everybody.
Indeed.
The excitement comes from two groups.
Yes.
The large group is mainly speculator. They hope that to buy and sell, and make a fortune.
Yes.
And the second group may be the long-term investors.
The long-term investor.
But issuing the IPO here has to go through what we call the book building process. In other words, it is a process in which people, the issuer as well as the underwriter try to find out how the price, is being, settled.
Underpriced, overpriced.
Overpriced, underpriced, and so on. Now, in our case, we are very cautious in Cambodia because this is the first company, the first IPO. So therefore, it tends to be a little bit, moving toward the underprice.
Yes, I see. You mean we start underpriced, right?
Yes,
that's what it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is why there's a lot of demand for the security. I think that the demand is maybe almost 8 to 10 times more than the 13 plus million of shares being sold.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's so therefore the book building process try to look at the maximum, the minimum price, and finally come out with an average price. That's 6,300 real per shares at that time. And then after that, after the process has been finished, by the I think April 18, so the SCCC said that we let now the trading to start.
All right.
And you see that the first 2 weeks of the trading, people get excited. The price go above 10,000 and real and so on.
Wow.
And it
didn't last though.
It didn't last long. And then after a while, it kind of start to come down from to 9 to 8 to 7 and so on. Now the price is a little bit below 7. It's about 6,009, 6,008. However, the IPO price was issued at 6,003, still a little bit above. The price.
So we're still okay.
Yes.
What's next then?
Well, let me go back to the fundamentals of buying shares. You buy shares because you buy into the future of the company. The future company.
You believe that the company will do well. That's why you buy.
The company offer a business model and a lot of forecast, 3 years forecast. We have not have that in the IPO because there is a kind of a rushing process to get the IPO document out
Yes,
and
yes,
start
yes.
moving, because we have been postponed for so
Behinding
long.
the time there. Okay, so you're catching the
now that's
time.
one
Right?
difficulty in
Yes.
knowing what is the prospect of the company, what
Yes.
are their plan,
Mm.
what are their strategy
Yes, yes.
for the next 3 years.
Okay.
So therefore, buying shares without this type of planning is a bit difficult. You
Okay,
don't know
okay.
where, how to evaluate.
Yes, yes. So they're in the process to do that. I think maybe this could be a lesson learned for future company that will get into, like, okay, we expect the next at the end of the year or next year there'll be a few more state-owned enterprise who will be up for listing, right?
Yes, you are absolutely right. We really need to have a complete prospectus in
Yes.
which mainly,
Yes.
not only the accounting information, financial information of the past,
Yeah.
but we like also the financial
The
information,
projection of the
the
future.
projection in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah,
What
yeah.
are you going to do for the
Yes,
next 3
yes,
years, and
yes.
so on? What will be your profits? and
Yes,
so on.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's very important. Yeah.
Is there? I mean, I'm not so much into the stock, but when you project to the future, you take account also the global trend, the regional trend, the effect of the world economy and everything also, no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you are in the field of, exporting,
I see.
dealing with international
Yes,
trade.
yes,
Now,
yes.
the water authorities is mainly local.
local, yes.
Local.
Exactly.
The Cambodian market.
Yes,
So
yes.
therefore, this is why the regulator said, okay, we know that it is a little bit late, so
Yes.
they kind of, okay, you
Okay.
do that
Yes, yes.
when you update your financial
Yes,
statement
yes,
in the
yes.
future. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are right.
So up to now, there's a lot of media write-up about that. So people are quite happy that finally our stock market is up and running. Finally, we have the first one to get in. There's some lesson learned. There's some excitement. There's some emotional things happening. People make money. People lose money. I think it's okay. It's a marketplace, right?
Yes,
It's all
yes,
right.
it is.
How do you see the next couple of years shaping up for the development of the stock market?
As more companies enter
Yes.
into the IPO process,
Yes.
okay, issuing shares,
Yes.
there will be more selection
Yes.
of shares.
Yes. Yes.
In long-term investment, we need to form a portfolio
Hmm.
which consists of more than one company.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that we try to
Okay.
diversify
Yes.
inside that portfolio.
Yes.
It will be more excitement
Yes.
for a long-term investor. For example, I may want to form a portfolio of companies, water, port
Yes.
authority
Yes.
of Sihanouk,
A good mix.
telecom,
Yes.
and government, and
Yes.
banking, and so on.
It's like when you buy mutual share, mutual stock, right? You have
exactly,
a bit,
exactly. So by having more shares, by having more ability to diversify,
Yes.
it is more an excitement,
Yes,
of the
yes.
process. However, we have to also take into account they are speculator,
Yes.
they are short-term trader. All
Yes.
they don't worry about diversification
Yes.
per se. They just want to see what are the psychology
Yes.
of the buyer.
Mm.
More buyers coming, the price increase.
Yes.
Less buyer, the price start
come
to
down,
drop, and
yes.
so on. So they use that psychology to buy and sell shares on a daily basis.
Yes. In 2 years' time, Cambodia will be part of the ASEAN Economic Community, and the leaders, of this country, of the region, we're quite excited about the prospect of this one unified, 600 million market. Will our Cambodian stock exchange allow foreign company to come and list in our market?
Yeah, this is an ideal, in the mind of the regulator in Cambodia.
Yes.
What we call cross-listing.
Cross-listing,
Yeah.
yes.
For
give me an example, yeah.
company A and B.
Okay.
Suppose Cambodia is company A. I
Yes.
mean country A.
Yes, yes.
They have to get into an agreement with country B for the cross-listing. You
Yes.
list in our country, we list in your countries, and so on.
Okay.
That cross-listing is important.
Yes.
About that. Number two, even without cross-listing, some foreign countries
Yes.
here may be interested in if your shares are very, very hot. okay, a good commodity, they may allow even the Cambodian share to be listed and so on.
Okay,
but
in there.
Yeah, in their country. But it is a little bit
premature, I
yeah,
would say.
premature for the time being. So we are looking more of the internal process.
Now, speaking of internal, let me just digress a bit. Speaking of internal market, you know, I would say that in 2015 there will be many foreign companies who will be coming to Cambodia, who will enter into sort of like a merger acquisition. They'll be buying to share of a local company, joint venture, that sort of thing. So they are per se local company, incorporating the Cambodian law, partnering with a Cambodian company, doing business in Cambodia. What are the prospects of this company, this type of company? Foreign but established in Cambodia.
Yes, this is a very interesting development in the future.
Yes.
Okay? The regulators also have thought about that.
Yes.
For example, it is possible that a garment company belonging to a foreign investor, right?
Yes.
Incorporated in Cambodia may want to list. You know, there's nothing wrong at all once it is incorporated. You know, in Cambodia. So we should allow them to list.
Yes.
And I have heard that some cases already being undertaken right now.
Okay.
But it takes a while to do that.
Yeah. So I think if that scenario does take place, you will see a dramatic upsurge of likely candidate to be listed, because many of these companies are operating in Cambodia already. You know, and if garment is one case, you talk about 300 or 400 companies right there.
Yes. We should not be over optimistic about that, because more or less the Cambodians consist of investors, right? They are limited. Limited, at least experience, knowledge about that. It takes a while. It may take a while. My view is for the next 3 to 5 years, we may see some development in that area.
I still want to stay in the local market here. So the scenario, the normal scenario would be the development of indigenous Cambodian company, right? So we have a lot of young entrepreneurs who get into the marketplace. There are existing company who's been operating for the last 15 years or so, but somehow they do not meet the listing criteria for one reason or the other. What would be your advice? You know, what does it take to get them 3 or 4 years down the road to be candidate ready for listing?
This is a very important process. You know, to make sure they understand the requirement of the SCCC. So my suggestion is, first get the financial information in order. Accounting information. You know, try to get yourself, you know, as much as possible into that process. You know, being
audit statement,
audit
sort of thing,
statement, and so on. In other words, we are talking about a product that based on information. Good information makes that product very attractive to investors.
Which speaking of you know, financial documentation, you know, you and I know that it's many of the Cambodian companies start years ago as mom and pop. So they still operate as mom and pop, even though they have huge asset. You know, some in the millions of dollars, but the way they operate, the way they function is still like, you know, father and mother and brother and sister running. So it required a dramatic shift of modus operandi in the company. So you mentioned financial. What other? Tax? Legal?
The other, legal. They need to be, you know, very aware of the legal requirement. You know, corporate governance.
Corporate governance. Corporate governance is very important. Please mention a bit more on the corporate governance.
The corporate governance is critical. You know, how the process of selecting the board director to sit on the company. And especially the board director should have independent member board director that give, you know, more independent view that to help the company. The main issues of corporate governance, good corporate governance, is how do you get the independent people, outside people, to come and offer an honest view to protect the small shareholders. So the big shareholders are all, you know, in corporate inside. They have their you know, they
appoint their own.
They appoint their own,
Yeah.
you know, so they have that ability.
Hmm.
But we worry about that. Another one is the corporate governance that really try to at least to protect
Hmm.
the welfare, the honesty of the company.
Okay.
For example, you know, you have to go through the audit,
Yes.
internal audit,
Hmm.
the external audit.
Yes.
You have to go through a good financial reporting,
Hmm.
how you digest the financial reporting. A lot of questions being asked,
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
what do you do with that? How about the future? When you sign the financial statement,
Yeah.
you are fully accountable.
Hmm.
So therefore, that culture
Yes.
needs to be implemented.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as independent director, not only they are looking out for the interests of the minority shareholder, but they also for the larger interests, you know, of the company, right?
Yes. Yes.
This is clearly a paradigm that Cambodian company have to, you know, learn to accept over the year, because as I said before, most of the Cambodian company that I know that's happening, that are doing business in this country, are very much a family-owned business.
Yes.
You know, so having to bring a third party with not necessarily divergent view, but just the fact that they are outside is already a major mind changing set already. You know, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any family's company,
Yes.
you even talk about a strong family company.
Yes.
Very, you know, I'm talking about strong in terms of total asset
Yes.
and so on. You know, start first, you know, with the family control.
Yes.
They can sell shares, right?
Yes.
Like the water authority,
Yes.
the government control 85%
Yes.
of the shares.
Yes.
And the same thing with the family's company.
Yes.
They can control, yeah.
Yeah.
But the corporate governance will help them
Yes.
to move to the right direction.
Yes.
Now, the most important thing is, as the shares are being distributed among daughters,
Yes.
son and
Yes.
daughters,
Yes.
nephew and niece,
Yes.
and son-in-laws and
Yes.
daughters-in-laws,
Yes.
then the whole issues have become more and more spread out.
Yes.
Some son and
Get
daughters-in-law
divorced.
may want to
They get divorced.
Yeah, they may want to sell shares.
Yes.
And this is where the outsiders come little
Yes.
by little
Yes.
and begin to infiltrate
Yes,
and
yes.
maybe take over the company, because they view that if this become a fully, you know, non-family owned company, they can do a lot
Yes,
to
yes,
try
indeed.
to
But what is happening in this country is nothing that new. I would say what happened in China, what happened in Korea, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, the process is the same. They all start somewhere and then grow, you know. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
well, there's still some big company
Yes.
who are still family owned, but
Yes.
I think rarely the case now.
Yes. Well, when you look at Ford Motor
Yes,
Corporation,
yes.
family owned for
Yeah.
many years, right?
Yeah.
Then they decided to go, but still, the
Yes.
Ford family
Yes.
continue to do that because they kind of they agree
Yes.
together
Yes.
not to let
Yes.
you know the outsiders completely overcome the company.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, the stock market in Cambodia has a lot of, aside from the financial implication,
Yes.
for me, I see for an emerging economy like Cambodia, it has a lot of psychological effect on the way the Cambodian society functions.
Absolutely.
You know, the notion of transparency is very, very new for Cambodia,
Yes.
because you know, as a closely held family or friendly environment, information are usually exchanged,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
without any preconception or bad intent.
Yes.
But as you move to this stock market where information is privy, information is confidential,
Absolutely.
this so-called relation, this cozy family relation will come in clash with this notion.
Absolutely.
So I see the importance of people start to understand and try to make a difference between when information is supposed to be kept confidential,
Yes.
you know, insider trading, for
Yes,
example.
yes.
How can we ensure that the father-in-law is not asking his son-in-law who is working for the you know, the company or for the exchange to say, oh, I gave you my daughter, I let you marry my daughter, and I couldn't ask you an information. You see, that I can see already. Well,
Yeah.
it's just an example,
Yes.
but that notion of information are confidential for the interest of the public is very important.
Yes, very important. This is why to go along your thinking, it is important to separate ownership with management.
Yes,
so
yes.
See, that's very important. It's difficult with family.
It's very blurry.
Very.
Yes, very blurry.
Yes.
And I can say that many times when I meet big Cambodian businessmen, they say it's my company, right? It's that my with a capital M, right?
Yes.
My company.
Yes.
But then as you start digging, as you start doing transaction, you find that yes, he may be the head of household, but he barely owns 10%, because the rest, like you say, is spread to the wife, to the daughter, to the cousin, everything, and then you're dealing with a multinational who require to have a due diligence.
Yes.
So due diligence, I think I could wrap up by saying, of all the process that you mentioned, due diligence is very important. Could you just expand a bit on this?
Extremely important.
Yes.
Before a foreign investor that come in and consider merger or acquisition of a local company, due diligence is very critical.
Yes.
So therefore, they need to get into the whole process from beginning until the end. The financial information, the corporate governance, and so on. So therefore, there is an huge need of the service of good lawyers.
Okay.
Understand that.
Yes, that's right.
This is very important to do that. Yeah.
But Professor, we're running out of time, so perhaps I'd like to give you a few minutes, to just what's the message for the Cambodian business? What would you advise them for the next several years if they have the ambition someday to take the company to a market?
Yes. Nobody really forced a family-owned company to become listed and become a public company.
Yes.
Nobody forced them.
Yes.
It's their decision whether they want to do it or not. But if they do, they will benefit. Long-term benefit is tremendous.
Yes.
First, their company become more internationalized, more globalized, and number two, it's easier for them to do a lot of projects, to borrow internationally, have access to the international capital market, and so on for future growth.
Yes.
And so, but they need to really understand the process, the advantage, disadvantage of becoming a public company. That's the decision to make.
Yes.
However, the reward will be tremendous. Another thing that they should be thinking is, for example, right now, their companies mainly consist of assets.
Yes.
Yeah, they own those assets, control the factory, the hotel, you name it.
Yes, yes.
But now the division of the asset among their children might be more difficult.
Yes, yes.
To avoid that difficulty in dividing the asset for inheritance. One way to do is list it. Instead of cutting the company into pieces, they give the shares to different children. Those who are willing to go ahead and move the company forward, they can do that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's another point. My final point is that we are talking about what we call the main board of stock exchange. Where we look at the good company, listed company, following the international accounting standard, international corporate governance, and so on. But in many countries in the world, including ASEAN, they have also they call a secondary market here, where the requirements are not very strong. This is where the SME can play an important role.
You're talking about over-the-counter?
Over-the-counter market, and so on. They have this in Vietnam, in Thailand, Malaysia, and so on, everywhere. But the requirement is less stringent. The risk is higher for the investor, but the investor that can do a good homework will receive a great deal of benefit.
And this will be up and coming also.
Yes, I talked to the regulator. They said maybe 5 years time, but let's get the main board moving first. But my view is the second board here, a second exchange, is very important. It fit well into the Cambodian model.
Yes, very good. Well, Professor, we're coming to the end of the show. Let me just say thank you for coming once again, and don't think that this is the last, because as this stock market spirit is moving forward, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for you to come back, for us to invite you, and hopefully you can find the time to come and share and sort of like guide us along the way a bit. You as being one of the sort of like the founder, the indirectly plant the seed of that thing. I think it's important we have your guidance and your wisdom also to move forward. So let me just say thank you for that.
It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Well, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we have a good glimpse on what's happening in the stock market. I like to say even maybe a good update. But what I'm excited is more on moving forward. How do we help the local economy, the Cambodian SME, to start planning for the future? And this is important, and what Professor Ghanty has just mentioned, that the horizon is not far. You're talking 3, 4, 5 years. There'll be new opportunity, but the message is very clear. You got to get yourself organized. You got to get yourself in the ready mode, meaning the requirement of changing the way you do business, the way you prepare your financial, the way you do the paperwork, and all these things require preparation and require advanced timing. So on that note, I hope you can start considering that, and hopefully get yourself ready for that. And so until then, I'll see you next week. Good night.